It can't be that bad.
Please.
Let him go.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. So very unsure. Heckle. And you hear high pitched barking and the sudden jittery movements. So what do you normally do in this sense?
Say that again?
What do you normally do in this sense?
In this instance, I usually say, Oscar, bed. Go on to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sort of listens to me, but he's half listening.
Yeah.
And then I usually say, because he's not usually like it with women, it's more men.
Yeah.
So what I usually say is, once you come in, because if it's like our friends or something,
Yeah.
once you come in and you sit down, he tends to sort of leave you alone. But then if you go to get up, then he'll be like it again.
Well, the reason dogs often have a bigger fear of men than it is women is because of the presence. Okay, so men naturally are bigger, they have deeper voices, they have a more domineering presence per se. Of course, there's always exceptions to the rules, but women are generally softer. I believe that's why women have children and men just produce children.
Yeah.
Yeah, so women are a lot softer in that department. So if you've got a nervous dog, they can easily warm up to that softer energy.
Right, yeah.
But the best thing to do is just this. So when the person comes in, just get them to stand here.
Yeah.
He'll be better off on a lead.
Yeah.
So because what it does is he goes into flight mode. So he barks, vocalises, look, I'm terrified, I'm terrified, I'm terrified. And then all of a sudden, as soon as you move, he jumps and scarpers and things like that. So if you're having him on a lead, what it does is it stops him from running away. You give him a little tug on the lead, say, look, enough.
Oh, right, so then he'll actually do his
Yeah,
tongue.
what he needs is direction during this time.
Yeah.
To help him because he becomes stuck. So this has become more like a habit. So
Yeah, because the thing is, it's because I've got teenage boys as well. They feel that they can't have their friends around because he will literally chase them up the stairs, bark, bark, bark. So it's a pain.
Yeah. Well, you see, just go pop him on
What, harness in a lead or collar in a
the
lead?
collar and the lead. Well, actually, I've got a lead around here. Just wait to on him.
Right, sit. Sit.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pop this down a second. Put this one on him. This is just a little slip lead.
Right.
This
Oh,
is-
what?
Yeah, so this one can.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, we're friends now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's a little bit of a... It's really weird because he can
he's
be...
stuck. He's not bad. I
Yeah.
mean, in terms of dogs that I see,
Yeah.
I mean, he's by far at the bottom of the list in terms of
Right.
how bad he is. Yeah, I mean, I see many dogs that, I mean, just someone walking in the house and movement, they'll pee themselves.
Right.
I had this one dog who I was working with named Murphy, and he was hog-tied and dragged around the streets of Romania. So when he came over, obviously he was absolutely terrified. And if he could have, he would have dug into the tiles to disappear. And I wasn't even looking at him. I was gave him so much space, just talking to the owners, having a coffee. And as soon as anybody went near him, he'd just poo himself. So in terms of fear, your dog's very mild. He's almost stuck.
Don't know whether to be frightened or not. Yeah, because he was, now we've got...
Because for instance, like, so for instance, look, now sit down, you see how he goes into flight mode and tries to run away?
Yeah.
But with the lead on, I instantly block that. And then he comes up with a different way of behaving.
Yeah.
Yeah? Like I said, he comes charging out, but he's a coward. So if you stand still, he's not going to do anything. If you try and touch him, he'll bite you, but that's because he's got no alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then what happens as soon as that person moves, he goes into panic mode, and then they turn their back and he goes charging after him, and then they turn and look at him and he runs to high heaven. But with a lead, you just block that flight state.
Right.
So dogs can only stay in that mindset for so long. Does that make sense?
Right, yeah.
So the first two coping mechanisms of any species on the planet, any warm-blooded species, same as a human being, is fight or flight. So if you're in a predicament, you'll either fight or run away if you're scared.
Right,
Yeah. Neither are a good choice for a dog. You want him to learn that it's okay to be in a situation. Yeah. So you block the flight stage, and then he gets a bit unsure to begin with, and then he's like, oh, actually, nothing bad's happening. No one's trying to touch me. No one's trying to pick me up. Things like that, and then you see this. So.
But it's weird. Sometimes he'll wag his tail, like with my dad, for instance. Like, he's fine with my husband's dad. Fine, he'll walk in, be completely fine with him. He can touch him, pick him up, whatever. But with my dad, when he comes in, he'll bark, bark, bark like this. and then my dad might go and sit on the sofa, and then he'll come up to him and start wanting to bring him loads of toys and things like that. And then my dad might go to fuss him, and then he'll be like...
Yeah, because, I mean, look now, right, he's here, yeah, but he's nowhere near ready to be touched. I mean, even though when you come in, his tail was wagging, if you see how his tail was wagging, it was very low and wagging. Wagging is mild, is excitement, yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean friendly. Yeah, so if you've ever seen two dogs about to get into a fight, they go at one another. Many times their tails are stiff up in the air, but they're wagging.
Yeah.
All it represents is certain adrenaline and excitement going through the dog's body. So that's often why people get bit. They go, oh, look, his tail's wagging, let me stroke him. But you have to look at the position of the tail before you do that. But for him, when he meets people for the first couple of times, the best thing they can do is ignore him, almost play hard to get. So if he brings toys, ignore him. Yeah. If he comes over to you, don't stroke him. Yeah. Do you want to hold the camera a second? Because I can't do both. So what's going to happen, he's obviously sensitive to movement. So if I move, you see, like, but you just block that, yeah, and wait for a different alternative behaviour, and then you can start to reward that. And the fact he's taking food also tells you the dog's state of mind, because when dogs are highly anxious and highly fearful, they won't take food. I mean, Murphy, I was telling you, you could throw food at him and he wouldn't even bat an eyelid. His eyes were so wide, like there's a man in the house, what am I going to do, what am I going to do? Whereas he will actually take food. Yeah, so we actually want that nose to engage a little bit more. See, look, he's trying to back away again. But we want that to stop. So I'm going to use a little bit of pressure. Not drag him, it'd be easy to drag. But, good boy. And then, for the decision to come forward, I throw a treat on the floor. The other mistake people make is they'll often try and hand the dog a treat. But nervous dogs have their senses backwards. So if you come into my house with my dogs, what would happen is they'd come straight over to you and they'd be sniffing you all over. Yeah? Dogs use their nose as their primary scent. But a nervous dog actually uses their eyes more than anything else. So they just look at something and go, I don't recognise that, and panic. Yeah? His nose doesn't engage until later on. So look, block that. Because again, he's sensitive to movement. Yeah? So I want to teach him that just as I'm moving, there's no need to run away. But, so if I go and hand him a treat, in his mind it's going to look like I'm trying to touch him because he's not using his nose, he's using his eyes. So just block that a second, wait for him to come forward, and as soon as he comes forward, then what I'm going to do is just drop a treat on the floor. So he goes, oh, actually coming forward towards this person, I get a treat. But I'm not forcing him, I'm just not letting him run away. There's a difference. Yeah? And then he's being stubborn because his natural default way of being is running away. But that's what we want to block. We want to stop every time someone moves, him go into that panic state of being. Does that make sense? So there's a little bit of a panic process from him. That's better. And treat goes on the floor. When he stops going into that such, oh my god, what am I going to do state of mind, you have to block that. So what would be good for him is what's called an indoor training lead.
Right.
Yeah. So it just attaches to his collar and he just drags it around. It's probably about the same material as that. So it's very lightweight. It's designed to go under doors and things. But what you can do, because he's dragging it around, it's normally about 5-6 feet long. If he goes to run after something, step on the end of it. That'll block that instant mentality of him running after something. He'll turn and go, what was that? And then you can give him a reward.
Oh, right.
Yeah? So all you want to do is sort of block this, there we go. Yeah. But he will never ever get to this stage if no one puts him in this stage.
Yeah.
Like I said, you could try just letting him be himself and things like that. But unless somebody actually brings him into the situation and goes, look, stop running away, that's what he'll do, because that's what he's come up as his default coping mechanism. Good boy, and that's a stress relieving signal. That means he's letting go of a lot of the, now he's being more curious, looking at me, you're going to give me another treat, you're going to drop another treat on the floor, things like that. So this is what you need to do when people come round, so prevent him from running away, but actually bring him in, but tell the person to act as if he doesn't exist. Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yeah, just ignore him.
And so he's now coming over to sniff me. At first, he was afraid. That's why he's trying to run away. His mindset is in that place. But because we blocked that, now he's behaving more like a dog. And a dog uses their nose. And now he's coming over, he's sniffing. He's looking at me. But not looking at me so much panicking, looking at me like, you're going to drop another treat on the floor. Yeah, so I'm changing his emotional response to how he sees stimuli. So you do this with every new person that comes in the house. Before you know it, see?
But outside the house is probably when he's the worst.
Yeah,
isn't
so I mean,
he's
but
got
again,
no concentration whatsoever. He won't even listen to his name outside the house.
But for instance, if you, there we go. I'm just going to sit down. See, he's unsure about that. Like, what do I do? What do I do? But outside, I mean, that's what we're going to address. But I'm guessing you walk him on a harness. Yeah. See that?
Because if I walked him with, it'd be like he'd just be constantly gagging.
But that's a lot of the problem. So if a dog pulls and gets itself worked up on a collar or something like that and starts choking, often we'll go out and get him a harness because we're worried about him choking. But what you actually have done in a dog's mind is you've rewarded the dog for pulling, and you've made their life more comfortable as a result. So the dog pulls and pulls and pulls like a freight train, choking itself. So you reward the dog with comfort. Yeah, so the dog can still...
So really a harness is built for a dog that's already trained and just...
Yeah, a harness is... The original purpose of the harness is for pulling and tracking.
Right.
So if you look at, for instance, a German Shepherd that's looking for a suspect that's fled or something like that, the policeman will pop it on a lead and they'll give it a command to search or seek or whatever, and that dog is in front of the handler dragging it. You want it to be able to pull from its shoulders. If you look at sled dogs like Huskies and Malamutes, they're put on a harness because they want to pull. But often these dogs that are trained that are pulling on a harness, they're trained to do that when they're in that working mode. But then when they've finished that, they go back onto a normal collar or some sort of training device so they can walk to heel with a handler. But when people put a dog on a harness, you give it a lot of power. So if he behaves worse than this outside the house, again, it's going to be the same thing. He's nervous, but because there's no clear information being fed to the dog, he's going to panic.
It's when he sees other dogs, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's panicking. But on the harness, you've got nothing to stop him.
But it's like in the house, it seems to be the big barking, and then outside the house, it's this high-pitched squealing sound.
When he sees another dog.
And I think, and at first I thought, is it because he wants to see that other dog, to play with that other dog, or is he doing it because he wants to get to the dog to hurt it? And I think when he was littler, when he was like a puppy, I sort of chanced it and said, like, do you mind if I bring my dog over? I don't know if he wants to see your dog or whatever. And they said, yeah, the dog's fine. And then as soon as I brought him over, after he did that squealing noise, he went to snap at it. So then after that, I've never gave him the...
I mean, we're going to take him outside in a second anyway, but I imagine it's going to be a combination of, like, I've got a video of a dog named Willow. Willow was highly anxious outside, and he would lash out at things outside. He was walked on a harness on his back legs like a freaking lunatic. And he was almost screaming when he came out of the house. Like, it was excitement, but the excitement's gone past the point of excitement, and it's now full-blown anxiety. And just to basically calm down a little bit, he lashes out at anything that moves. So we switched him to a slip lead, and the difference was like night and day. Yeah. So if you just stop that there, so good. So he's so much more relaxed now, not running away. He's actually with us, and look at his tail. Yeah. So we just took him outside on the slip lead. The reason I didn't film that bit outside is because I got a gazillion videos of me teaching the dog to walk properly on the slip lead. I mean, I could refer you to 1,000 videos of doing it. But look, he's all over me now. He won't leave me alone. And that's because, again, a lot of people will forget about the lost art of lead walking. So you take him to places where it's quiet, where you're going to avoid dogs and people. But that just keeps him in his comfort zone. I took him outside his comfort zone, and every time he freaked out, I stopped, waiting for the freak out to stop. When he looked at me, then I carried on. Yeah. And now he can start to trust me because I helped him when he was at his most vulnerable. And the only thing I've done today is not let that fear win. That fear does not win. Doesn't matter whether you're trying to run away, doesn't matter whether the fear does not win. I will stay there, let you go through it, and look.
But so all this time I'll probably be doing worse than what I should have, because they said to me, avoid the places that's going to stress you.
Yeah, and of course this, like I said, there's no secret about dogs trust. Dogs trust that what they told you, that he will never, you're going to have to accept he's always going to be like this. That's absolutely piss poor advice. Did you go to their training classes?
No, I went to, and I met someone in the office or whatever and brought him in, and then they just saw the way he reacted with them and said that taking him into a class full of other dogs would be worse than be doing him more harm than good sort of thing.
Look at that. Alright, mate. Yeah, but again, I don't want to ruin the trust, and just because he's here, I don't want to move too fast. Yeah, so I don't want to start stroking him and things like that, because that can make him uneasy. Remember, you're being pushy now. But this is because when he was at his worst, I didn't feel sorry for him. I didn't baby him. I didn't pick him up. I didn't go, it's okay, baby, come here. I didn't hold my hand out for him. I didn't go on my knee. No. See, look, as soon as you say that, he hates that. I didn't crouch down to his level or baby talk him, and look, it's all over the place. And even though I don't agree with jumping up, you have to look at the big picture. In this case, if he's jumping up, it means his confidence is there. I can stop this jumping up at a later date, but the fact that he's willing to jump up on me instead of run away from me shows that there's a massive difference in the hour that I've been here in his personality. So if you do this with everyone that comes round, you don't have an issue. So for dogs trust to turn round and tell you, hey, shut up, that's neediness now. So for dogs trust to turn round and tell you that he's always going to be like this, when in an hour he's gone from trying to run away to licking my fingers, jumping on me to trying to run from running away. So this is why I don't like Dogs Trust. They claim to have internationally renowned dog trainers, but the reality is they're an absolutely shit corrupt company. Hey, then they want to tell people how to train dogs. They want to tell people what methods not to use, yet they can't even look at a dog and go, that dog just needs a little bit of structure, a little bit of discipline, a little bit of guidance when it's getting nervous. So I am actually going to block this barking if he does it again, because this, I mean, I don't want to replace barking because he's nervous for barking for attention, because that's often where it goes wrong. People go, oh, I don't want to tell him off now because he's actually showing confidence in that sense, but you'll go from a dog barking being fearful to barking for attention. So
because sometimes it's hard to know the difference, isn't it, of what to do. Because when I was reading,
well, I mean, for instance, the body language tells the story. I mean, look at it now. He's not jumpy, he's not skittish. Hey, so I will correct that. And of course, look, see how he gets a little bit concerned, but see how he comes straight back now? Yeah? Because he's learning that discipline isn't the worst thing in the world.
Because that's the thing, isn't it? You think when like a child is scared and then a teacher tells them off, they're going to make them more scared. So you kind of have that sort of...
Can you catch?
No, it's
You suck at catching.
It's rubbish at catching treats, but if you get a toy and throw it up in the air, you'll get it.
You're going to catch. Catch. Oh, you suck.
Whereas if you go like that, then he'll be.
I just can't believe the advice Dogs Trust gave you, that he's always going to be like this. Right, look at it. I mean, if I can do this in an hour, think what he'd be like in a week, think what he'd be like in a month, think what he'd be like in a year. When you go all the way back to basics, strip it back. Stop the over obsessiveness of picking him up, stop letting him sleep in your bed, treat him as an equal, right? And then you get the dog that you actually see in everyday life, this friendly little... He's been licking me and everything. Look at him.
He loves you, man.
And that's because I told him off. That's because when he was afraid, I didn't feel sorry for him either.
Oh, right.
I actually gave him a little pop on the lead when he was freaking out. Asked him to sit and and waited for him to look at me. And then, no. He wants more. Wait. Enough. Don't want to replace your barking because you're nervous of barking because now you want attention. Yeah? He's a good boy. But he wants more food now. Because he's in a lot better state of mind. So now you're saying...
whereas before you couldn't even get him to even want a bit of food, could you?
No. So there's the difference.